Hello. Wait, what is this? What? There we go. So funny story is that I wrote out a little script for the book, this chapter, and I was gonna make a little video for it. Um, and it was gonna be like a pre-recorded thing, and I had the script ready, and I was feel like, yeah, this is the script, and I just didn't know how to put the video together. Like, I'm kind of like going through, I'm using Canva. Is that how you say it? To make my videos now. And I'm still learning on it. And I wasn't sure exactly which direction I wanted to go with it. But I've been putting it off for so long because so much with work and rally planning and um, depression. So I was like, tonight, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go live and read from the script and then end it like that. And I'm clicking around and I can't find the script that I wrote. And I think I probably accidentally deleted it. So it's gone. But I remember the chapter. So I'm just going to kind of do like what I've been doing. And next time I'll do better, because that's all you can do. So, hey, let me bring it up. Let me bring the book out, because, like I said, I wasn't even planning on reading from the book right now. I still have a cough, too. All right, so this was chapter 5, the value of non-sensitive collaborators. So, she basically talks about how in her field she has to, at the time when she was working in these fields, she was dealing with a lot of different kind of personalities, and the kind of like in your face, I uh, type in all caps, very aggressive, very like that kind of personality just was really stressing her out. And but when she was removed from that environment and she was looking back, she started to appreciate it as, this is what helped me grow. They did a lot of good work, and what they were doing is just different ways of doing it. And so she appreciated them for that. And that's basically what this chapter is about. It's about um, basically having to set aside your differences as far as personality stuff and all that, to kind of work towards that common goal, and understanding that while you're also an empath and that you are working and doing what you are working and doing to do, that if this person is not an empath and they're a little bit more aggressive and all that, that doesn't mean that you can't work with them or find ways of working with them. That, though, it's important if you have boundaries with people and different personalities to keep those. So it's not saying disregard that. It's just saying it's okay to say, like in a workplace, you don't choose your coworkers, right? You just have to deal with them. And that's basically what this chapter is about. It's just, finding a way of dealing with the aggressive people. Like the last chapter, she talked about, this is where I have to flip through it to see the exact, to say the exact words. Let's see. Let's say like warrior kings and priestly advisors. That's what it's called. So in the last chapter, she broke down what her definition of what a warrior king is. Hold on one second. I had to take a drink of something because I felt a cough was coming up. All right. warrior kings, and the last chapter she talked about how warrior kings were more of the extroverted, more people that are like out there, more the face of whatever, and they are more like, if you're thinking of like a person like I think she said an example as like a Donald Trump. Donald Trump would be considered a warrior king. Politics aside, he's very much a presence known, very like out there, outspoken, like stands his ground. You know what I mean? Hey, Jazz Naz, welcome. So that's like what a warrior king is, and then a priestly advisor is generally somebody who is more in the background of things, who's more introverted, who uh, um, just they're more of the quiet types who are more like not as assertive, not as aggressive. And they call them like priestly advisors is because they're usually the ones that are full of knowledge and like you can advise from. But so that's what she basically breaks down the different people. So like in her definition, an empath would be more of the priestly advisor. Like she could probably consider herself a priestly advisor, which is fine. Like if I had to break myself down into one of the two categories, it would probably also be the priestly advisor. Like I don't feel comfortable in like I don't know, like I'm not that type personality. I'm more of a background person, which I'm more than fine with. If I had to compare me and Linda, like for instance, I was the priestly advisor, she was the warrior king. She was very much like if you guys remember Linda, if you've been following the channel for a while, she was the warrior king, and that's like the perfect example of these two people. Is I would be the priestly advisor. I was more doing the background stuff, like creating the t-shirts and the postcards and planning things and getting things set up and all that. And then Linda was more of the voice of and more of the passion and all that. So she always felt like she wasn't doing enough, and I'm like, you're doing perfect because you're doing the things I can't do, and vice versa. She was the idea person too. Like she had all these ideas that were constantly flowing and coming out, and I would just be the one sitting there writing all down and like, let's get this worked on, let's do it. But anyway, so in this chapter, she and her examples were let's see if I can get this name right, because obviously I know Nelson Mandela, and then there was a man that was actually working with him. Here we go. Archbishop Desmond Tutu. So in her example in the book, she was saying Nelson Mandela is more of the warrior king, and he was more of the face and the presence of the movement that they were working towards. While Desmond Tutu, he was very much involved in it, and he was kind of like one of the people that helped out Nelson Mandela. I don't want to call him his partner because I don't know enough about that situation to know exactly how many people worked with Nelson Mandela, but for the sake of this book, this chapter, and what she was saying, he had Mandela had many partners from all sectors of society. Among the most prominent was Archbishop Desmond Tutu. So there you go. But she talked about in the chapter how Desmond was more of the behind the scenes. He was more of the organizing meetings and doing prayer visuals and having talks with leaders and like, let's sit down and talk about this. He also was more quiet, more reserved, and he needed his quiet time, which I I think in the book she talks about how empaths need that. So I think that's why she definitely brought that part up. Um, yeah, he had a great caring temperament and would have nothing to do with anything that hurt others. So, um, but yeah, so basically, this chapter is like, even though you have your Nelson Mandela, who is completely and totally different than Desmond Tutu as far as how they view on how to do things and what they can do and what they're, what they're good at, them working together and coming together and having the same goal, they were able to work towards that goal. And they, and they got their goal, I believe, accomplished. I mean, um, Nelson Mandela becomes president of, what is it, South Africa? So he must have did something right? He must have completed it. Um, yeah. So that's basically what this chapter is. The work of social justice is hard. It is discouraging. It is complex and dynamic. We and the causes we care about need people who bounce back more quickly, who eagerly jump into the fray. We need colleagues who are unafraid of making mistakes, who are unfazed by failure, and relish confrontation. We need peers who lean towards action and decisiveness. We need people who will challenge our assumptions in private and readily come to our defense in public. Their strengths are a wonderful counterbalance to our strengths. They can help us expand our vision beyond our sensitive lenses. So that's basically what this chapter is. It's just about making sure that you embrace the people who are opposite of you as far as their characteristics and what they can do and what their abilities are, and putting, like, if that, just because that's not the way you would handle things doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad way of handling it. And yeah, as long as you're working towards the same common goal, let them do what they're good at doing, and you do what you're good at doing. And yeah, so that's basically it. um Here, the last paragraph of this chapter is kind of nice to read. One of Tutu's many contributions to the world was the popularization of the African philosophy called, I'm not even going to try that. It's Ubuntu. Roughly translated as I am because you are, or I am human only because you are human. Ubuntu refers to our shared humanity and our interdependence. Oh, it's and it has a word. Normally, it has a little number above the word, so I'm kind of curious as to what. Hold on. This is kind of, see, number 14. No, that's not. Oh, okay. It's just where they got it from is Wikipedia. Okay. I thought it was going to be a little bit more defining than that. Anyway, the priestly advisors are because the warrior leaders are. We are invaluable. So are they. And we are all more effective advocates for change when we balance one another, challenge one another, and encourage one another towards the next step in the journey. And I think that sums up this chapter pretty perfectly. So, the reflection questions, I didn't do them this chapter, but I will read them. And if you guys want to answer in the comments or whatever, So, Reflection question number 1. What peers, colleagues, and fellow volunteers have you found most challenging to work with? What have you appreciated about working with them? And I personally find it challenging to work with people that have a really big ego. And I also, though, you could give you a good example. There's this one person who is very outspoken. She runs a group, she runs a page, and I don't agree with her opinions on the case or anything like that. And I don't even agree with what she does half the time. Like, there's some things that she does that I feel is really inappropriate. I'm not going to say what, because it's not about bashing or anything or calling them out. But I wish I had her guts to be unapologetically me the way she is. Like she's like, this is my opinion. I don't care what you have to say about it. And she's been really firm on it. And I do admire that about her. I think that is important to have. And it's important that if you have a team of people to have somebody like that, because that's the kind of person you want to argue the points of what you're trying to go for. You know what I mean? So that's for number 1. Number 2, what have you learned from partnering with people who are less sensitive or less empathetic? What would you like to learn from them? Oh, what have I learned from partnering with people who are less sensitive? I get more frustrated because I don't understand why they can't see things and I guess the gray area of things. Because I've noticed that a lot of people who aren't as empathetic or aren't as sensitive have more of a black and white view of things, and I'm more of the gray area because I feel like I take things like emotions into certain things, and I think it's just more frustrating for me that I don't understand why you can't see it black in that gray area. But what would I like to learn from them is I actually do admire I admire it's just to be no, black and white. You know what I mean? I wish that, because I think it is harder. Well, how am I trying to say this? I think it's more complicated to look at things through an empathetic lens, and it kind of does feel like it's muddying the waters a bit, if that makes sense. So I wish I could learn to be more, yeah. What kinds of expectations and boundaries do you need to set for your non-sensitive colleagues to ensure healthy communication and collaboration? Expectations and boundaries do you need to set with your non-sensitive? My boundary has always been just respect me and my opinions. You don't have to agree with them, but just respect them for what they are, and I'll respect yours. So I think that's just my basic boundary with people that I work with, especially if they're not sensitive or they don't have the same views of things I do. It's just, just respect. I think that's the main thing for me. Because if you can't respect me, then what are we, then we can't really work together. That's my opinion. What could healthy refining conflict look like when you are working with others with very different personalities? What could healthy refining conflict look like? And I think that just goes back to respect. And if you respect the people that you work with and you respect yourself, then you respect what the person's saying during conflict and you take consideration into that more, I feel like. I think that's my answer. I'm not sure if any of that made sense. So anyway, that's the chapter. And it's 25 minutes in. It's a little bit longer than I thought. We'll see if next, because I want to continue this book series. I think it's very awesome and helpful, especially for me. And I don't know if you guys are getting, what I'm dropping here, but I would like to try to do pre-recorded content. So we'll see if I can get that done. But thank you for being here. Thank you, Jazz Naz, and for anybody else who popped in. And I hope everybody has a fantastic evening.